Chapter 6. Slipping into her coat, Bettina giggled wickedly. "Are you shocked?" "Don't be," she said. "Believe me, Monique is not the sweet person she pretends to be. In fact, she deserves everything and anything she gets." "Why?" Nancy asked. "What did she do?" Bettina shook her head. "Oh, it's a long, sad story. Let's just say that even though Monique and I were once the best of friends, we're now the best of enemies." "If you feel like that, it must be hard to work with her," Nancy observed. "Well, I won't be here much longer," Bettina replied. "When the contest is over, I'm leaving Ilan." "To go where?" Bettina raised her shoulders and shrugged. "Who knows? New York, Madrid, Paris? I only know I'm getting as far away from Chicago as I can. Will I see you at the hotel later?" "I'll be there," Nancy replied, as Bettina ushered her out of the office. "See you later, then." Bettina gave her a brazen smile. "Don't think too badly of me, dear. If you knew the woman like I do, you'd want to take aim, too." When Nancy got back to the reception area, she saw Kelly Conroy step off the elevator. Over her shoulder was a maroon handbag, and in her hand was a large manila envelope. "Nancy, hi!" Kelly called out. She walked over to the receptionist's desk. "I'd like to leave this for Miss Durand. Please tell her I need it back, with her comments, by tomorrow morning, okay?" "Sure, Miss Conroy," the receptionist answered. "By the way," she added, addressing Nancy, "Roger Harlan called while you were in the ladies' room. He's doing a shaving cream commercial, and he'll be tied up all day." "What are you doing now, Nancy?" Kelly asked, taking her in with a cool gaze. Nancy smiled. "Got any exciting suggestions?" "Well, I'm famished," Kelly said. "Want to go to lunch? I know a great little hole in the wall called Dominic's." "Fantastic," Nancy agreed. She and Kelly rode down the elevator and walked a few blocks up a side street that branched off the avenue. "Dominic's is kind of a journalist's hangout," Kelly told her as they walked. "It's dark and kind of seedy, but they have great potato skins. And here we are." She pointed to a heavy wooden door. "There's no sign," Nancy said. "How do people find this place?" "Most people never do. That's what's neat about it." Kelly pushed through the door, and Nancy followed. The restaurant was furnished in dark colors. Kelly waved and smiled at the hostess, who gave them menus and led them to a blood-red leather booth in the back. Kelly gazed at Nancy for a moment after they sat. Then she narrowed her green eyes and leaned forward. "Okay, let's level," she said. "What are you really doing at the Face of the Year contest?" "I'm not sure what you mean," Nancy said, suddenly feeling uncomfortable. Kelly raised her eyebrows. Then she reached for her big maroon handbag and began rummaging inside it. She pulled out a newspaper clipping and handed it across the table to Nancy. "I came across this when I was looking up Bess's hometown paper. That's you, isn't it?" Nancy looked down at a picture of herself shaking hands with Chief McGinnis of the River Heights Police Department. "You're Nancy Drew, the detective," Kelly said simply. Nancy handed the newspaper clipping back to Kelly with a smile. "Yes, I'm Nancy Drew." Kelly leaned in closer to Nancy. "I don't believe you're here just to have a good time with your friend. I think you're investigating something." As Nancy scanned the menu, she wondered how frank she should be with Kelly. "You can tell me the truth, Nancy," Kelly said after the waitress had taken their order. "Only if you promise not to tell anyone what I say," Nancy said, bargaining. "That's tough," Kelly said. "After all, I am a journalist. But okay." Nancy told her everything that had happened so far. She finished by telling Kelly about the disquieting photo of Monique that Bettina had in her closet at work. "Whew," said Kelly when Nancy was done. "Very interesting. You know, there's a lot of bad feeling in this contest." "Oh?" Nancy's eyes widened. Kelly was confirming what Nancy had felt all along. What kind of bad feeling? "Well, you've heard about Tom and Bettina, haven't you?" Nancy shook her head. "They were engaged. Until Tom got to know Monique, that is. Tom and Monique are dating now, from what I hear." Kelly paused long enough for the waitress to set their food down. "No wonder Bettina hates Monique," Nancy murmured. "What about Roger Harlan? What do you know about him?" Kelly shook her head helplessly. "Roger's a mysterious guy. I know he takes acting lessons and is pretty serious about his career, but it's kind of hard to get a handle on him. He told one of our photographers that he was unhappy at Elan, but the only way he can get out of his contract is if Elan fails to do a good job representing him. Well, if this contest gets botched, it won't look very good for Elan," Nancy said, reaching for her iced tea. "Okay, Nancy, where do we go from here?" Kelly propped her elbows on the table. "How can we find out about Heather Richards?" Nancy asked. "Something is going on with her." "I'll put my feelers out," Kelly promised. "We have pretty good connections at Teen Scene." "Great," said Nancy, giving Kelly a smile. She had a good feeling about the reporter, and it was fun to work with someone else. Meanwhile, let's hope the contest goes smoothly from now on. "Yikes," said Kelly, glancing at her watch. "It's almost 1:30. The girls are going to be at the park in an hour. I want to get their reactions to the makeovers and interview Bess." Nancy and Kelly ate quickly, hurried out of the restaurant, and hailed a cab. Soon they were at the Intercontinental. "I hope I haven't missed them," Kelly cried. But as she and Kelly stepped off the elevator, they saw Bess standing with Carrie Harper outside Allison Williams' door. "How do you like my hair, Nan?" Bess said, shaking it out a little. Nancy was amazed at what a difference the hairstylist had made by not curling Bess's hair, but leaving it tousled and straight. "I like it," she said slowly. "It's like a lion's mane, but sophisticated and sexy. Anyway, I do love it, and the eye makeup, too." A fine aqua line edged the bottom of Bess's eyes, making them seem larger and rounder. Her thick lashes were covered in a fine layer of teal blue. "Didn't they do a good job on Carrie, too?" Bess said. "Doesn't she look super?" "Bess, stop," Carrie Harper said with a modest blush. But Nancy thought Bess was right. Carrie's dark hair had been cut to shoulder length, and she'd been given bangs, which made her eyes stand out. "Mr. LaFortune did great work on you two," Kelly said, referring to the stylist who was responsible for the girls' makeovers. "You must be really happy." Carrie grimaced. "We are, but not everyone is. Allison won't even show her face," she said, turning and knocking on the door. "Allie, open up!" "Come on," Bess added. "You can't stay in there forever." "Oh, yes, I can!" came a tearful lament from the other side of the door. "What happened?" Nancy asked. "We're not sure," Bess answered. "She came back from her makeover wearing a turban. Then she ran into her room and double-locked the door." "I'm going home!" Allison shrieked from the other side of the door. Diana Amsterdam appeared from up the hall, tapping lightly on Allison's door. "Please, Allie," she begged. "You can't drop out now." "I don't want to. I have to," Allison moaned on the other side of the door. "Sometimes we think a new haircut makes us look terrible even when it doesn't," Kelly threw in. Besides, you can't just hide in there all day. Right, Carrie added. What about the banquet? Don't you want to go? Sure, I want to go, Allison said bitterly. But I'll never be able to. Not after this. Oh, come on, Allison. Stop being silly, said Bess, trying a new tack. Whatever you think of your makeover, it can't be that bad. Oh, it can't, huh? Allison shouted, undoing the chain lock and flinging the door open. She stood in front of them wearing a bright orange turban that complemented her dark skin. Still think I'm being silly? She chided, reaching for the turban and pulling it off. All the girls gasped at what they saw. Giant sections of Allison's hair were missing altogether, and what was left was burned into charred clumps of frizz. End of chapter 6.